Hello, everyone, and welcome to Startup Africa Live. I am Francesco, and I'll be your host for tonight. Thanks for joining us in this discovery between two worlds, a journey across two ecosystems with many stories along the way. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Startup Africa Vision, we are a non-profit association aiming to create a collaborative, multicultural entrepreneurial ecosystem without borders and barriers. Last summer, we have been in Kampala, Uganda, and in order to give you a glimpse of what we did, we prepared a short video in order to give you an idea of our last journey. Please see this video. Thanks, Luca, for sharing it. Wow, so many positive memories comes to mind when I watch this video because during our stay in Kampala, we felt at home from the beginning. Our daily routine would include having breakfast all together, commuting from the hostel to the university, where we would have all the selected founders waiting for us, eager to learn, and we would together trying to improve their business model, their marketing strategies for 5 days. On the very last day, we would bring anyone in front of a jury, and this jury would select the winners. We are going to meet the winners of our last edition in a few moments. But first, let me tell you something, because we couldn't achieve this wonderful and remarkable goals without the support of local stakeholders. Therefore, I would like to thank the Innovation Center of Makerere University, which is one of the biggest universities in the whole Central and East Africa, and also a precious host for us during our stay. They provided space, tools, equipment, manpower, and also breakfast and lunch for everyone. So thanks again to Alan and Solomon from Binary Garage. Another surprise that we want to give you today is also a very last minute guest and surprise for all of you. It was not expected, but he was very keen to be here and give an institutional greetings. So if he is on the line already connected, I would like to introduce you the Italian ambassador in Uganda, Massimiliano Mazzanti. Mr. Mazzanti, are you already connected? Or shall we move on?
Yes, we can see it yet, so we can maybe move on, then let's check if he is connecting.
All right. So the topic of today is innovators for a challenging time. I guess we all agree that you have to be very bold and courageous to run a business during a global pandemic. We strongly believe that connecting the dots, collaborating together, could bring to disruptive solution and business model. That's why we invited the winning startups to Italy for a roadshow in March. But then, guess what? COVID-19 happened. So we decided to adjust. We had to adapt, adjust, change to these new conditions. Of course, we organized everything for this trip, flying tickets, accommodation, meetings for the startup to give them visibility. But we wanted to reward these fantastic entrepreneurs, but also we wanted them to become an inspiration for others. That's why we're kicking off today a series of events towards creating a meaningful connection between two ecosystems, Africa and Italy. All digital, of course. But let me give you some context before we jump into the discussion. This data represents the statistic as of now. So in 2020, the 15% of the world population comes from the sub-Saharan Africa, with 50% as young as 19 years old. These figures and numbers are projected to be much bigger in 30 years' time. By 2050, the world population would be 23% from Africa, and 50% of them would be as young as 26 years old. You can imagine that it's time to change the discussion and to bring the attention also to the African continent. But first of all, let me give you some wow moments that happened during our stay. As per my perspective, of course, one of the things while visiting Africa that really drew my attention was the usage of mobile money. For example, everybody was using mobile money. For example, we can think of Satispay in Italy. We can relate to this. But this was a very widespread tool. Anyone could buy something from a shop using the money on their mobile phone, the credits they have on their mobile phone. And with the same mobile phone, you could ask also for a line of credit. You could use as a mean of payment, like we use a credit card. And this brings us to another topic, which is leapfrogging, because Africa is projected to jumping from one technology to another. For example, if we think about energy, everyone agrees that Africa will jump to renewable energy sooner than our continent, for example. Also, some bias and stigma against technologies such as artificial intelligence or robotic could bring to a faster adoption in the African continent rather than in Europe. And we already have some example of some robots deployed in Congo. This is a picture from Kinshasa, the capital of Democratic Republic of Congo, where a robot traffic is leading the street. Something that it will be very not likely to see in Europe. Another thing that really drew my attention are social rules. For example, it's impossible, it's illegal actually, to smoke in public places. Something that we are not used to. Also, we were surprised by the startup maturity. most of the startups that we selected that applied for Startup Africa Roadtrip, they had already revenues locally and internationally. Most of them, some of them, they already been funded, and some of them, they got funded after we arrived. Another important factor that we had the pleasure to register is the female founders. Almost 50% of the founders were female, and of course we were really proud of it. And the last but not least, we registered a strong commitment from the founders. They were the first to arrive, and they were keen to learn and understand more. Enough of me talking, let me introduce you the agenda for today. As I said, I'm Francesco, volunteer and co-founder of Startup Africa. We are going to have a nice chat with Roberta Cocco, Deputy Major for Digital Transformation in Milan. After, we are going to listen what Toluca Latorre has to say, and then a brief intervention from Paolo Bobbio about our impact. Then we're gonna jump on a trip to Africa, and we're gonna listen to 4 amazing founders. They are going to present their companies in an exclusive way, in 5 minutes. Also, we are going to have Martino Guglielmi from vadinafrica.com that is going to introduce a panel discussion with distinguished guests. That's the agenda for today. Enough of me talking. I can see Roberta Cocco, she is already connected. Let me introduce you her. She is, since 2016, Deputy Mayor for Digital Transformation of for the city of Milano. Previously, she had a long career at Microsoft in various roles, up to being Central Marketing Director, and since 2004, with Al Femminile, she has been dealing with projects to bridge the gender gap through ECT in close collaboration with international public and private organizations, including UN and many others. First of all, Roberta, are you connected and how are you?
I'm very fine, thank you so much. So, when you want me to begin, I would be pleased.
Thanks for joining us, Roberta. The stage is yours. Thank you.
So, thank you very much, Francesco, and hello everyone. I'm really happy and really proud to be here. I really consider this a huge opportunity to have a bridge together our 2 countries and of course cities. In the introduction, Francesco mentioned some of my keywords, such as innovators, challenging times, adapt, adjust, change. These are all keywords that we were facing during the last few months. As you can imagine, in Italy, in Milan especially, we had to face this terrible emergency. And something that we all discovered as citizens, as institutions, as a nation in the country, we discovered that digital is essential for everything, for all pieces of our lives. And so we were able to keep on working for our citizens thanks to digital, because we had to reconvert our local employees in the municipality of Milan, offering them a smart working opportunity, and so preparing and developing for them a virtual desk from which they can connect to the hub, the central hub, and keep on offering services to citizens. And this was very working because we could operate in the same way we were at our offices. And so digital was part of our everyday working life, but at the same time, our children, our students were connected to their schools through technology. If not, they wouldn't have ever worked in this way and studied and connected to their professors, but also to their friends. And the third part of our life, our personal life, let me say, was saved by technology. Because even if we were in lockdown, we could connect with our friends, but also our family, our relatives, our parents. And so, for the first time, at least for Italy, we understood the value of digital. And so my first topic is definitely we understood that the digital is a key asset in our life. There is nothing we can consider to do in the future without these amazing and valuable levers. So digital is key. You were supposed to, I'm now addressing the startups that I really wanted to receive during our digital week in March. Unfortunately, we had to put off the March edition, and we are now having our digital week end of May, totally digital. Nevertheless, we could organize more than 500 events connecting not only Milan, but connecting all Italian people to our messages. And this is a value. So we are very sorry that we have to cut off the in-person digital week, but we are happy that we could achieve our dream to maintain digital week because we wanted to offer a positive and optimistic message, and so we are doing this. And even if you from Africa are not here in Milan with us, and that's a real pity, at least we can connect with you and share with you our messages and be able to see your pitches and understand what you are doing. Innovations so have no borders. Of course, we prefer to stay together. We prefer to speak to a person that can react to us and be in the same room with us. But we have also to consider the good part of the story. We have to consider the positive part. And such as I told you, as I mentioned, digital offers us the opportunity to go over borders and offers us the opportunity to go over the time frame because we can speak to many people even if their timing is different from ours. But let me go to the point that really, really touched me the most. I, as Francesco kindly said in the introduction, I am very fond of gender parity objectives. I have been working on gender equality for more than 50 years now. In all the roles, in all the professional roles I had in my past. I really believe that women are an incredible lever for our economic and social well. So we have to invest on women, not because we consider women less or more. I consider all human beings at the same level, and ready to do whatever they want if they really want. But it's a real city that we have just a small percentage of women and girls going into STEM studies. I mean, science, technology, engineering, and math. So the science city and the digital part of their educational path. I strongly believe that we have to take that part into the economy and work with all the best minds in order to restart our economy. And in this period, in this very challenging time, as was said in the first slide, in this very challenging time, we can't lose these opportunities. And having been working with many girls and women during my career, I can say that there is nothing at all that a woman can't do. But we have to motivate them. We have to offer positive models. We have to engage women and girls around us, and we have to make them part of the big story. So I don't want to go too long because I'm so passionate, so I don't want to waste too much time, but this is a good occasion to get in touch with all of you. This is a good opportunity to be able to understand even better what you are doing in Africa. But I promise I want you in Milan as soon as possible to make you visit our city and maybe our nation, and to offer you a good opportunity to work together. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you, Roberta, and we took a good note of it. Of course, we wanted to bring the founders to Italy, but we can't control the situation we are into. So it's an appointment for the future. I really thank you. We really thank you for your time, for taking the time, your contribution, your continuous feedback, your continuous opinion. And it's nice to have you standing by us during this journey. Really, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us. And we have another host, another guest now. He is a mentor. He's a mentor for Startup Africa, but he's also one of the pioneers of the internet industry since 1994. He has been involved with startup and tech ventures since very long time. He's also the founder and president of Primo Miglio SGR. But wait a second, I should have been introducing the ambassador, because from Andrea is telling me that he is connected already. Let's see. Ambassador Mazzanti, are you there?
Yes, indeed, I'm here. I'm connected, and apologies for connecting so late. Actually, I had a few technical problems to face, and I thank Startup Africa for solving this first of all.
No, we really thank you for taking the time. Actually, where are you now, and how are you first?
I'm really in my residence. Actually, I was hosting a dinner for EU ambassadors, but I'm more than happy actually to take a pause to participate in this important event. Actually, Startup Africa, we've been supporting that from the very beginning, from 2017.
The Italian embassy in Kampala gave us a huge support, not only giving us the location for the final event, but also we leveraged your network of people, of course. You have been watching the beginning of the talk, right?
Yes, I've been following, of course, and let me acknowledge, of course, the presence of Deputy Mayor Coco, and even I've seen also is connected my colleague and friend from ANCE, Vincenzo Ercole, and of course I wish to thank once again the Startup Africa team, Luca, Claudio, Luca, Francesco, and Cenzoni, my friend. The team actually has been following us for quite a while. I'm new, 6 months I'm in Kampala. As you know, I cover Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. And actually, I was pretty excited from the very beginning for the project because Startup Africa is a concept that brings something totally new to Africa. Well, let's say that actually one of the very few things, unfortunately, we got positively from this pandemic is the fact that it forced us to a full revolution in digital revolution. It forced us actually to burn, every single target in order to continue to work and to foster and to support business. And it's indirectly actually something that COVID has done well. In reality, the pandemic has been severed quite a few programs that we had together with Startup Africa. We've been supportive, I was saying, from 2017. We were organizing, of course, the roadshow to Italy for important business companies, startup companies from Uganda, which cover, and I'm pretty proud of saying that actually they cover all sensitive sectors. The selection has been done pretty wisely by Startup Africa because it covers actually all sensitive sectors of the Ugandan society. When you think to her health, actually, is maternal care, which is quite an issue nowadays. It's one of our main actually targets of action in Uganda. Maternal health and gender-based violence, and indirectly everything that can improve the health of women in Uganda. Gorilla Conservation Coffee touches another important sector. Actually, it's a startup that touches through a production of one of the main crops that we have in Uganda, this coffee. That it's unfortunately not well known, but Uganda crops and produces among the best coffees in the world. And curious enough, it's exported, almost half of the production goes to Italy, and the rest actually quite often is transferred even to Kenya, where it's rebranded as Kenyan coffee. So you have identified another niche sector in which they need marketing and awareness. And then, of course, Zembo Motorcycles, and we touch, of course, the environmental issue. The environmental impact, which is hardly needed in Uganda, especially in Kampala, where we have millions of these boda, which are the motorcycles that they use actually to move throughout the city and the country. And there's an increasing awareness, of course, in the country about green issues and, of course, green sustainability and energy sustainability. But the main problem remains something that might be having, like in this case, Zembo Motorcycle, a true impact in everyday's life in Kampala and other cities in the country. Swipe to pay, I must say, it's something that's another important, and I'm sorry that I didn't have, because of COVID, the personal possibility of coming in touch with the actors of these 4 important startups, as well as with you guys from Startup Africa. We've been severed, as I was saying, unfortunately, by COVID. But Swipe to pay reflects something that in reality Africa has done relatively better in comparison even to Italy. They use to pay through the phone almost everything, and that's actually an exercise that might be fruitfully developed. It has to be, of course, properly developed from a digital point of view, but brought even to European continent and be pretty useful. I believe that actually the mentality is there pretty much. The possibilities are there, but what they need, and that's where actually Startups Africa jumps in, is a revolution in the mentality. Startups are not exactly the perfect fabric of the Ugandan economy, and they need to understand that actually through digital innovation and startups, these are all in reality tools of a true development that is still hardly needed in Uganda and in general in Africa. So you're touching actually issues that, and again, I'm happy that you're going live in the presentations, but you're touching single sectors of the Ugandan economy in this case, if I may, because 4 of the startups that have been selected are sheer Ugandan companies. But let me say that they reflect, and this shows also the wisdom, the capacity of Startup Africa to tackle, to understand what is needed in local economies, you have identified 4 incredible startups that are really covering almost most of the sensitive sectors of the African and Ugandan economy.
Dear Ambassador Mangianti, you touched phase 2. I just want to say 2 small things. First of all, I tried the Ugandan coffee and it's really the best. I also lived in Colombia, so I can relate, I can compare. Also, we also realized that we could improve their mindset and their mentality with basic exercises and basically knowing that we could be there backing up and supporting them. I'm happy that we both share the same vision, and what else can I say? If you want to add something else, otherwise I will really thank you for your time.
Not at all, not at all. In reality, I want to add something.
Yes.
Startup has been able to identify one of the main niche problems of this country, which is basically marketing. They're incapable of making marketing, with all due respect, of course, to my counterparts. I have this discussion pretty often with all ministers, with all economic entities in the country, and I always repeat the same thing. They're lacking, sometimes vision, pretty much often marketing. Startup, and these 4 startups, they have a vision. They're trying to market the products that actually they're doing, and they're trying to have a true impact in everyday's life in different sectors, whether it's maternal health, whether it's the financial actually easing and making pretty much easier to make transactions in difficult countries like the African ones, or to tackle wildlife and protect wildlife. I'll make other examples, but because this, in the case of gorilla conservation coffee, it mingles 2 different sectors which lack totally marketing in the country. They know very well, my Ugandan friends. One is coffee, as I was making the example before, selling to other countries, which is being rebranded. I don't know, but Ugandan coffee is contained in Illy, the famous Italian Illy coffee, and is part of Crema e Gusto of Lavazza, which is one of the best actually productions. Just to make you understand that there's awareness in niche markets of the quality of Ugandan coffee, for example. But then if you mingle that with the gorillas, that's another marketing that has been partially lost by the country because they didn't market properly actually the touristic sector, and that's another sector that I would indicate in perspective for possible startups, especially in the marketing area, because just to let you know, they have the best layers and the best actually families of gorillas and the larger areas between Uganda, Congo, and Rwanda. But Rwanda has done a perfect marketing in gorilla and visiting Rwanda. And actually, most of the tourists, they go to visit gorillas to Rwanda, which is pretty odd. So I believe that actually Startup Africa is touching the right buttons and eventually supporting those sectors. And I think it was very wise, the sectors you identified are among the most important ones in the country and the economy nowadays, especially because we're talking about micro business, because of course big companies are another kind of conversation. But they need definitely to acquire mentality, to go modern, digital, and to learn how to do marketing, because ideas are there, potentialities are incredible, resources are there. They need just to concentrate, to teach, and to teach us, and to learn something from us actually. And I believe that in the world of startups, Startup Africa is one of the best experiences I've seen in 6 months since I'm here in Uganda.
Well, dear Ambassador, thanks a lot for this amazing advertisement for our project, and also for this powerful insight about the market, the Ugandan market. I personally liked a lot my stay in Kampala, so I will of course come back. Thanks again for your time, very much appreciated.
A real pleasure. Sorry if I go back to my European ambassadors now. You will apologize.
No worries, we completely understand. Thank you very much again.
Thank you. Thank you, Stata.
Okay, So let's move on our timeline. Next on stage would be Toluca Latorre, our beloved mentor, also the founder of many companies and pioneers also for the internet industry in Italy. He is the founder and president of Primo Miglio SGR. Previously, he was founder of The Pixel, an innovation firm supporting startup and corporate. And since 2009, he's also founder of Tech Garage, a non-profit association with the mission of supporting and connecting startup ecosystem. Hello, Toluca. How are you there?
Yes, hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Francesco. Thank you for being here.
Hello, Toluca. Thanks for your time and continuous support. Since the beginning, you have been one of the persons who was encouraging us, pushing us to execute this wonderful project. So we should give you credit also for this.
Well, I mean, the credit goes to all of you guys that have actually done it. I'm a big fan of this project. We started with some friends, the Tech Garage Association in Italy many years ago, with a similar idea to what you guys are doing in Africa right now. We had a clear idea that entrepreneurs can change the world. And in Italy, there was, at the time when we started the association, there was very little startup activity. So we said, okay, we should do something about this. And that's why we created the Garage Association. And through the years, we met the support of many sponsors. And I would like to thank our sponsors for Startup Africa. Now, Cisco, by the way, which is also supporting this event today. What we saw in Italy, therefore, is that if you can support entrepreneurs, you can teach what you know. If you can network them, if you can connect them with investors, then through this kind of activities, you actually can really support the creation of a new startup ecosystem, which is what we've seen in Italy. I believe that the work we've done with the Tech Garage Association has been instrumental in many years to guide many young generations in their willingness to be entrepreneurs, and many of them have been successful. Now, this project in Africa has the same idea, which is fundamentally the fact that there is an ecosystem of startups in Africa that can be built, that it's at the beginning, and the fact that we know that we can contribute to that with the experiences that we had in the last 10 years in Italy. And it's particularly exciting moment for Africa, for startups in Africa. Digitalization is becoming a reality. As you said before, this is leapfrogging technologies, and therefore, let's say the African people are getting directly into the new technologies. As all of you probably already know, through satellite connections, all of Africa will be broadband connected in the next years. Every village will be connected. This will provide a huge opportunity for African society to grow. It's a continent made of young people that are willing to change their life and to build new companies. And so we think it's a really exciting moment to be there at the beginning of all of this and to contribute with the association. So we think this is an opportunity for Africa, but we also think that this is a great opportunity for Italy. And this is the reason why we were so keen to organize this event. Actually, we would have loved to have the entrepreneurs in Italy to connect them with the Italian ecosystem and to actually show Italian startups about the opportunities that are there in Africa. We would like to build this bridge between Italy, startups and investors, and African startups and investors. We think that there is everything to gain for both parties. For African startups, we would like to support them in getting access to the European market. And for Italian startups, we would like to help them in entering the African continent, which is huge and it's the market of the future. I was a mentor in this program, so I was able to touch firsthand the startups that participated. We had something like 120 startups participating this year. Of course, agri-tech, agribusiness was the most, let's say, the largest part, but we had a lot of ICT, a lot of education, healthcare, mobility, circular economy, e-commerce, so really a broad range of startups. The exciting thing was also that we received business plans from Uganda. That was fundamentally 2/3 of those business plans were from Uganda, but we actually received business plans for many other places, from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Kenya, from Sierra Leone, from Tunisia, actually. And this was really exciting. In fact, we would like to continue with this program. We would like to expand this program. We would like to build a bigger ecosystem around this program and touch many more new countries of Africa, and build a much bigger and much powerful bridge between the two continents. So I think we are running a little bit late. I just wanted to say a few words, and I'm very, very interested to see the pitches of the finalist startups. So you will see right now the 4 out of 120 best startups that we've encountered in the tour. We mentored 20 of them, but these 4 we felt were the most promising one. So thank you very much again for inviting me, and have a good event to everybody.
Dear Gianluca, thanks a lot for your time. Actually, thanks a lot also for highlighting that this could be an opportunity also for Italy, because it didn't come up in the conversation so far. Thanks again for your time, Gianluca.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Next one on stage would be Paolo Bobbio, our amazing co-founder and volunteer. He is a digital humanist with a background in journalism. Paolo is a social media manager and content specialist based in Milano. He's working with MR and Associati, one of the top digital PR agencies in the political and corporate communication field in Italy. He has been working on various projects for the city of Milano and for the European Parliament. Also, he has been a volunteer and co-founder of Startup Africa. We did travel together last summer to Kampala. And now let's listen to Paolo and what he has to say. Paolo, are you connected?
I am Francesco.
Hi.
Thank you. Thanks to all the friends, guests joining us from all over the world. I see people connected from Mexico, from Austria, and from Uganda, of course, and not to mention Italy. So, I will give you a brief introduction. I will try to give you a quick overview of our project, Startup Africa Roadtrip, and the landscape we operate in before listening to our champion, to our heroes, the 4 African startups who won the competition we held last year in Kampala. So first of all, let me address you a key question. Why in Africa? Why did we start from here our journey towards a more inclusive, collaborative, and multicultural innovation ecosystem? And the answer is pretty simple. The answer is because Africa is the continent of the future. As Francesco and other speakers have already pointed out, we have the youngest continent on Earth, and this is true particularly in the sub-Saharan region. We have, as I said, and as other people, as the other speakers pointed out, a young continent, an increasingly significant workforce, and a growing middle class, which means an increasing spending power as well. Of course, many of the long-standing problems of the continent are still very much on the table. Think of poverty, inequality, equal access to food, to healthcare, education, mobility, not to mention sustainability. These are the very challenges that our innovators from all over Africa are facing. They are addressing them, and they are trying to turn them also into market opportunities. And at this moment of history, digitization, along with new technologies, provides these innovators with the opportunity to find new solutions to these challenges. So how does the landscape of entrepreneurship looks like in Africa? The first thing to say is that the propensity itself to start a business is higher, significantly higher in the African countries. But on the other side, such an attitude must face strong inadequacy in business education. And if we take a closer look at what's happening in the sub-Saharan region, or the Silicon Savannah, as we like to call it, we see that, as Francesco and Ambassador Mazzanti said before, we see that economic growth really rhymes with mobile revolution. In the Silicon Savannah, in the sub-Saharan region, we are now topping 1 billion mobile subscriptions. Internet users are now up to more than 360 million. And on top of that, social media users have reached 150 million. So we have a fast-moving ecosystem. And now let's jump directly into the startup ecosystem that we have in the Silicon Savannah. And as I said before, the startup ecosystem in Africa. In the last few years, the innovation ecosystem has been really growing steadily. You can see here some of the figures. Of course, all of these slides, for those who are interested, will be available afterwards, after our event. And just one significant datum: the number of tech hubs has been growing and has grown from has been grown by 50%. So it doubled just in 4 years, since 2016. And this is a key indicator that we are in a very fast growing phase, which is still, on the other hand, really immature. So very dynamic, but on the other hand, very fragmented, and most importantly, unevenly distributed. If we think that 50% of these 400 more tech hubs are now concentrated in just 5 countries, which are South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Egypt, and Morocco. So if you take a look at the amount of capital invested in an innovative business, it's growing. It's growing because it's growing by 50–70% on a yearly basis. And last year, the total funding reached 2 billion, but it's really behind Europe, that in 2019 totaled 36 billion, not to mention the USA. African startups must face a dramatic difficulty in attracting capital, especially at early stages. And that's the very need we identified. That's why we decided to support African startups, and especially those who are in the early stages of their journey, helping them to develop better their vision, their business plan, their product, and their presentation, in order to be able to go to the investor, to be investment ready, as I will tell you in detail in a bit. But we started in East, not in all Africa, as Gianluca said before, but in East Africa. And why is that? Why East Africa? Because here in the Silicon Savannah, you have a set of unique conditions. First of all, is the youngest area of the youngest continent. The context as well is very favorable from a social, linguistic, and cultural point of view. It's a very dynamic scene with a high number of startups that are in their early stages. But at the same time, we see also here the problem I mentioned before. So we have a dramatic difficulty in attracting capital. And this means that all too often, inspiring people and inspiring projects don't get the wings they need to fly. And that's where our project, where Startup Africa Roadtrip comes into play, really. Because what we believe in is a multicultural, innovative, and collaborative entrepreneurial ecosystem, one that goes beyond barriers and borders. Not only we want to support the cutting-edge innovation in developing countries, but we believe that there is much to learn from these experiences and in the potential of connecting different ecosystems and the potential that such an opportunity generates. Our journey started back in 2017 with the first pilot project in Uganda. We did an on-site exploration of the ecosystem. We identified the needs and we realized some workshops for startups in partnership with the local incubator. The following year, 2018, we validated our methodology through a trip that brought us to Kenya, where we extended the scope of our action with an acceleration program. And last year, we went back to Uganda. We launched a call for startups. More than 120 teams responded. We selected the best 20s, and we offered the opportunity to attend for free our Tech Week in Kampala in the University Tech Hub of the Makerere University. And you will listen to the pitches of the 4 winning teams of the competition we organized at the end of this week in a few minutes. So, were it not for the current pandemic, you would have been meeting them in person in Milano during the public event we organized in the frame of Milano Digital Week, which was at the very core of our planned exploration trip of the Italian ecosystem, but we're just gonna meet in digital tonight. So, as you see, our methodology consists of a set of integrated actions, both of on-site, bootcamp, and remote support. We support startups with strategic advisory. We assist them in developing a financial plan and an actionable roadmap. And we create moments of networking with potential investors to maximize success chances. And just a quick look to what we achieved in these past 4 years. We have been so far in 3 African countries: Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. We held 3 startup competitions. We received altogether more than 200 startups applications. The number of startups we accelerated so far amounts to 60, and we trained 300 entrepreneurs, among them 100 women entrepreneurs. We realized 7 demo days and networking events, and as well on social media, we realized we got more than 3 million impressions of our hashtag Startup Africa Roadtrip. And when I say we, whom am I talking about? I'm talking about our crew, Startup Africa Roadtrip, a network of young, passionate, talented professionals who decide to commit themselves to this dream and to share their skills and expertise. We come from different fields, from startups, from VCs, from corporate, from communication. We're from different continents as well, not only Italy and Europe, but also America, Mexico, and of course Africa as well, and in particular Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. We come together, we share our expertise to build together this project. And of course, we're not alone in this journey. In our journey, different organizations got on board. We expanded our network, which today includes corporate, accelerators, incubators, and close to the end, Francesco, both African and Italian, VCs again, and business angels, as well as university, media, NGOs, and institutions. And let me thank in particularly the municipality of Milano, Roberta Cocco, the Department of Digital Transformation, and the municipality of Milan, who supported this year project and Milano Digital Week in particular. And let me also thank the partners which supported us and have been supporting us throughout all of our journey and are making all of this possible. And most of all, let me thank you. And now words back to Francesco.
Thanks to you, Paolo, for this amazing pitch about our journey and also figuring out the impact that we were able to deploy on the African market. Also, thank you for showing the faces of all the people involved. This is not one-man person. Nothing big can be achieved alone. So we are a lot of volunteers. Thanks a lot to everyone who contributed to make this happen, basically. Okay, now without further ado, thanks again, Paolo. Without further ado, I would introduce you the 4 startups of today, the winning startup of the last edition. They have been already presented from all our guests. So I would right jump into our first company, that is Gorillas Conservation Coffee. The CEO, Dr. Gladys Kalema Tsikusoha, I hope I pronounce it correctly, she is involved in saving the gorillas, but also giving education to local farmers how throughout selling coffee. Let's listen to what she has to say in 5 minutes. Please, Luke, help us.
We started Gorilla Conservation Coffee in 2016
Well, thanks to you, Gladys. Thanks a lot. Please feel free to connect directly with Gladys or with us in case of any question or idea, in case you have in mind some synergies that could sparkle or could grow. Without waiting more, let me introduce you the second startup. Now it's time for Her Health Uganda. Margaret Naniombi is going to present us a solution for a personal laboratory at home in a country where the closest hospital is not very close. So let's hear what she has to say in 5 minutes. Thanks to you, Margaret, and thanks also for presenting this very intelligent solution to make life easier for many women in Uganda. And also, I could see a lot of improvement from your first speech. So a huge thank you also to your mentor who was following you live and remotely. Okay, next one on stage is Marta from Swipe to Pay. Marta Kawesa, she is CEO from Swipe to Pay. Swipe to Pay is a solution for small, medium enterprises, small shops, a point of sale where they could manage their warehouse, but also their costs and revenue. Please, let's listen, let's pay attention for 5 minutes. thanks to you, Marta. Thanks to you, Marta. Swipe to Pay is tackling a very huge market. There is a very huge market opportunity there. Now, last but not least, Zembo Motorcycle, a company that I was mentoring. Yes, Zembo Motorcycle. We are going to have the pleasure to listen to Titus Kimboa, a team lead for Zembo. They are providing electrical motorcycle in a country where motorcycle is the most used mean of transportation. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Hello, my name is Titus Kimboa.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Titus. Thanks for joining us today. As I already said before, if you would like to be in contact with one of the startups, please text them, email, or you can, of course, send us a short message and we will do the connection. Now, these were the 4 startups. I hope you enjoyed it. Now we have a small contribution from one of our Joseph Caizzi, who is one of our pillar for the local team. He's a tech enthusiast, a marketer, also developer, and entrepreneurs, a business angel, and investors. He is going to address us on how to build a collaborative ecosystem. Please, Luca.
Hi, everyone. Joseph
Thanks a lot to Joseph Caizzi from a very noisy Kampala sometimes, but his message was loud and clear. We thank you again for your time, for taking the time and staying with us and addressing the message also today. Now we have finally the panel discussion that is going to be moderated by Martino Ghierni. He is founder of vadinafrica.com, the community with more than 10,000 members. He has more than 12 years of experience in various African geographies, in coaching and training entrepreneurs, as well as NGOs, companies, institutions. First of all, Martino, thanks for joining us today. I know that you have 4 distinguished guests with you tonight, and you're going to talk about building networks to boost innovation. First of all, Martino, sorry for being this late, and the stage is yours.
No problem. Thank you, Francesco, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you because I'm particularly related with Startup Africa Roadtrip since I still remember very well the very first day I met Andrea, who asked me some ideas, guidelines on how to spend his summer volunteering. And I remember very vividly, I share with him the idea of connecting his professional skills with an African country instead of just taking a couple of weeks to play with kids or whatever. So it's maybe this conversation was a kind of a little spark to create this project, and I'm proud to see that this is growing over time. And I will share some more maybe suggestions or ideas with Andrea and Gianluca later on. So I'm glad to be here with the four guests. Are Francesca Oliva, technical advisor from AFSI, Cristina Toscano, program leader of Innovation for Development, Cariplo and Compagnia di San Paolo, Paola Rossi, CSR leader, Southern Europe, Francisco, and Claudio Pasqualucci, president and CEO of ICE, Italian Trade Agency. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here with us tonight. I would like to start with Francesca asking you what your organization is doing to build network and boost innovation between our two continents, Africa and Europe.
Thank you, Martino. Thank you for introducing us, and also for I'm very pleased to participate to this event. So I work for AFSI. AFSI Foundation is an international NGO that works in 32 countries, and we promote human development. Personally, I've had the chance actually to live in Uganda and to also meet some of the incubators that have given birth to some of the companies that have presented now their business pitches, and I'm very happy to see the results of a lot of work that has been done locally by a number of stakeholders. And AFSI is also one of those stakeholders. So to tell you how we do promote innovation. As I said, we promote human development, but human development is a multifaceted approach, is a multifaceted topic to address, because to develop individuals and to develop human capacity, you have to look at the individual from the individual point of view, the community, the households, but also the private sector and the institutional point of view. And there's many stakeholders that can be engaged in promoting this human and social development. And it's actually through this multi-stakeholder approach that we bring different ideas and different competencies to new solutions and promote them. Just to give you a very practical example, a few years ago, also with the support of funds from Fondazione Cariplo, we identified an area that had a lot of social problems in Kalangala, that is a district of Uganda in Lake Victoria. We addressed the problems of a fishing community, that had a big problem of overfishing and depletion of the lake resources. The fishing community had a very high unemployment. There was also in the community a lot of prostitution and HIV/AIDS. So we brought together in this community the people, men and women, the local organizations, private sector, institutions, NGOs, and so on, and we brought them together to identify, yes, the challenges of that community, but also the resources of the community, and we led them into a process to change those problems into opportunities, into business opportunities. And that is where we found businesses, we found business opportunities, actually 13, and we selected eventually a few of them to be promoted by entrepreneurs that were active locally. And one of them is an aquaculture initiative. It's called a fish farm, which is an active social business in Uganda, which you know, and also Andrea knows very well. So this is a way that we are also trying to bring up, to make ideas and innovation emerge to solve social problems in innovative and technological ways. And we do it in partnership with a number of stakeholders. One of them is actually Primo Miglio. We have a partnership to actually keep on promoting initiatives like Startup Africa that were run last year and the year before. And we think that that civil society, like NGOs like us, can really contribute a lot because we have a deep knowledge of the communities, the problems, but also opportunities and resources. We are one of the few actors, if you look from an Italian perspective, that looks at Africa not like a problem, but as a resource. Let me stop here for now.
Thank you very much for giving the time. Since we're let's say basically going to 8:15 p.m. So thank you. And Cristina, please, can you tell us something more about the Innovation for Development initiative?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me. I will build on what Francesca said because I'm program leader of this program, which is called Innovation for Development, as you said, and is a program promoted and funded by Cariplo and Compagnia di San Paolo Foundation. We are two philanthropic institutions. We are there in the ecosystem, in the development ecosystem. I can say in the Italian-African development ecosystem. So we have been supporting civil society response to many challenges in many countries in the world, but specifically in Africa since 2000 and early 2000, let's say. And how we approach now our being in the middle. We approach it trying to create, opening up a space for innovation, connecting civil society, NGOs, and innovators and startups. Especially we are looking at the energies that are there in Africa. So the pitch that I look at, that I listen to, were something really amazing, representing what can be the transformative resilience at the local level. So I think that there's a space to connect all the startup ecosystem to all the development ecosystem. Development, I think, is the first way our countries should use to implement foreign policy. So this is my point. And our key words are specifically related to the importance of having a systemic approach to consider technology as a leveraging tool, but putting much of the interest on human capital. So human capital is at the center of what we are looking for. So I think we are there with the need to build up connection. And I think that open innovation is there, and chances to support with grants, mentoring, and any other type of networking, I think is in our pipeline, and we can do it also looking at these experiences and these speeches today.
Thank you, Cristina. Thank you very much. Paola, what about Cisco? How does Cisco build a network beyond creating these software WebEx where we are running our webinar?
Okay, thank you, Martino, and thanks for having me here. I'm very happy to be here with all of you, and as said, I'm the CSR leader for South Europe. And I think Cisco believe in a world where everyone can participate to digital economy, and where with the technology we can support and help people basic need. Cisco promote the digital skills training to support what we call job of the future, and giving the tool to become a problem solver. So what Cisco is aiming is to positively impact 1 billion people by 2025. And we continue to make investment in areas such as critical human needs, economic empowerment, and education. And recently, in January, we have opened a co-innovation center in Milan, and this is for cybersecurity and GDPR. And in the previous idea, we should have hosted the startups in this place if, of course, the event when it was supposed to be live. So luckily, next time we will be able to do this. And then I would like to share some more information about the Global Networking Academy program that is a well-known program in Cisco. It started in 1997, and it has reached now 10.9 million of students globally, and in Africa, 823,000 students since the beginning. So in Italy, we also opened this academy also in prison, like Bollate, where people like Abdel, coming from Morocco, obtained the CCNA and CCNA security certification, and he got the chance to change his life. So just to mention some numbers related to this project, in Africa, we have now 1,200 academies and almost 2,000 instructors, and 18% are female. Just to make the conclusion, I'd like just to share one story and one project. So the story is the story of a young boy living in the Kibera slum that, thanks to the Networking Academy program, got the CCNA certification and found a job. And then the project is the one we have recently launched during COVID-19 in Africa, and it is called Free Africa NetAcad Instructor Training. And this is a training for teacher and education staff members. Obviously, these trainings are conducted remotely, and those are enabling, of course, the development of the professional and the educational staff. And then to conclude, in order to have an innovative ecosystem, we embrace and involve different stakeholders, as also the person talking before me were mentioning. So we involve universities, school, associations, and startup. And we absolutely believe that technology and education are key differentiators, and those can eliminate, of course, distance and help to avoid inequality. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Paola. Claudio Pascolucci, how does each promote building network to boost innovation? I know there is a very interesting program of your organization.
Well, thank you very much, Martino and Francesca and all of you. First of all, let me send a big hug to all the people in Milan, which in these very past weeks have been struggling a lot and coping very well with in a very hard situation. The first time we met for this event, I remember, was my last day in Milan. So it was quite interesting for me to see that we are finally live and doing things. Although it's a pity indeed that we cannot do that in person. But I'm sure that in the very next future we will be able to gather this big community together. Again, also I would like to congratulate the 4 startups which we have been promoting and presented. All of them are very interesting and innovative ideas. and I think that they give a hint what the African innovation ecosystem can deliver also to the European development, as Christina was mentioning, development system. We need to create a strong link between the corporates, I mean the production and the innovation. This is very important. As Trade Commission, you know, we are part of the Italian government. We belong to the scheme of the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I take the occasion also to salute the Italian ambassador in Uganda. And I think there was a good friend of mine from the diplomacy as well, Vincenzo Ercole, which is connected, to mean that we are looking with very strong interest at the African, let me say market. It's not a market, but let me use this word, because we are here to make, to help Italian and African companies to do business together, either in the innovation sector rather than in the more traditional activities. We do a lot of things to have this link to generate and to boost. We have several missions of African delegates coming to Italy to attend our trade fairs. Recently, in the recent years, we have developed quite a big network of offices in Africa, from north to the Maghreb, south to Johannesburg. So we cover most of the continent. We try to make to do a lot of training and vocational training to make Italian companies and African entrepreneurs and African startups to open a dialogue. I would like to mention, just to say one of them, I would like to mention the activities we call Lab Innova for Africa, which is basically it's an educational training program for the agricultural sector in Africa, which is promoted by us, in cooperation with McFruit. McFruit is perhaps the most important trade fair, at least in Europe, for technology, fluid processing, and food tech. So through this action, we make, for example, producer knowing more about Italian technology. With the network of Italian banks, we help Italian companies to be more competitive in Africa, meaning there are several activities to help African companies to invest with possibilities in Italian technology. On the other hand, we are aiming to host African startups within our trade fair in order to share, I would say, competence, ideas, and sharing projects. Before I close, also I would like to mention that from my point of view, from observatory, I'm chief of staff of the president of the Italian Trade Agency with the Spirit, so I have the opportunity to see things from like a wider point of view, and I see that there is a lot of growing interest also for Italian funds to invest in sustainable projects in Africa. I hear a lot of interest in this growing sector. Also, we are here along with the network of Italian embassies and our offices to help Italian companies to develop some more projects which are related to social responsibility in order to make them more acquainted with the African social system and ecosystem. So this is just few words to say that in terms of government point of view, we look with much attention to Africa, especially with the innovative sector, and I really envisage to create a program that can put in touch Italian startups and Italian accelerators with the African ecosystem. So I guess for the moment, it's all I have to say, and thank you very much again.
Thank you very much. Actually, I would like to have a second round of the table, just a quick 1 minute each, asking you really from your personal point of view, what's the mistake that Italy as a country should avoid with regards to the African continent in these decades? Because I think it's sometimes easier to say, to recommend what not to do instead of just explaining what we should do. At least to have a common ground where all our organizations and various companies and NGOs can converge, starting from your personal experience in the field. Francesca, what would you say? What to avoid?
I think what needs to be avoided is to think that Africa needs prepackaged solutions from Italy, for instance, or from the Western world. That's because Africa is completely able to produce its own solutions that are fit to its own context. And not only, I think that it has an environment that is even more favorable for innovation than we have here in Italy. That's because Africa does not suffer from overproduction of laws and bureaucracy, and therefore ideas can come up more easily. So really, we should not expect that the solution should be brought and copied from Italy and brought to Africa. That's the mistake we should not do.
Thank you. Cristina?
I would say, as the Agenda 2030 said, we are all in this together. So there are no borders, no frontiers, and COVID showed the same thing. And so I think that really startup and civil society should work together, and Italy should avoid to, for example, focus on tech transfer. This is something that really I would not use in building up the ecosystem. I would rather use an expression like tech sharing or tech co-designing to be able to reach the last mile. So do not say at the capital, let's reach together the last mile. So I've seen many projects supported by the Italian corporation. I would really suggest to take in mind that we are there to serve the last mile.
Yeah, I do agree. Thank you very much. Paola, what's your suggestion? What do you?
Yes, okay, my point of view, I think what we should avoid is, of course, to remain isolated from others. And I think that in this period, the COVID-19 period, that we have understood that technology has helped to continue to do activities, some of those also totally unexpected, such as making school lessons, keep in touch with friends, practice gym, and do really amazing things. So even, of course, we have been isolated, closed off. Now we move on and we have started doing things that we could not imagine before. So I think that taking this in mind, of course, we can use this to understand how probably African were feeling. So I think we, in the spirit of being together, all together in this moment, in this period, of course, we need to activate from now on the spirit to be all together on the same page. So that's my idea.
Thank you. Last but not least, Claudio from Italian Trade Agency.
Yeah. Well, I would like to take the words that with Paola ended. So we have to be together, because the worldwide experience of experiencing such some pandemic needs to teach us how to work together and putting aside intellectual boundaries and prevention, thinking that we are together on the same boat, as we say, and we have to work and work together for creating welfare for everybody. In terms of what we don't have to say as Italians, I think what we have not to look at Africa. I mean, we have to look at Africa because it's Africa. Just let me mention briefly the case of Rwanda, which has not been mentioned in this conference today. Rwanda has been stranded for a terrible civil war, but in the last 20 years has managed to create a very safe and wealthy and growing environment. So this is to say that we need to take examples also from Africa. We need to abandon the optic of let's help them to do something, but let's do things together, because there is a lot to learn also from the African countries and African people. Thank you.
Thank you, Paolo. Let me say that on my point of view, I would say that we Italians should not forget that we are Italians, and we are close to Africa, not just not geographical point of view, but even in terms of culture. So despite maybe the language barrier or the little knowledge that we have of the continent for historical reasons, we are much closer to Uganda, to Rwanda than Germany or France or UK. So we should, I think, remember these and try to leverage on these facts. Thank you very much for inviting us, for inviting me to moderate this panel. I'm waiting for you on vadinafrica.com, which is for the time being only in Italian language, because I'm focused for this time on connecting around the language, the Italian language. But sooner or later we will open also in English, in French, and so on. So feel free to visit the website and join our Facebook group. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Martino. Thanks a lot. And also to the 4 amazing panelists who addressed a message that is global solidarity from 4 different perspectives. The message is unique. They were all converging on this message, in my opinion. And I believe this could be the way to overcome any crisis that human Homo sapiens will face. Thanks again to everyone who participated in this event. We are also thanking our sponsor. Otherwise, this event couldn't be possible. Thanks also to the mentors, to the volunteers, and to the people who contributed to make this happen. Thanks also for guiding us through this journey. I'll give you an appointment on the 29th of June, when we are going to stream a video documentary about our last journey. It's going to be a surprise, but please tune in and register for this event as well. Also, we are on all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And if you are a volunteer and you want to get in touch, please feel free to send us a message. We need your help. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. If you've been following us up until now, you are a superhero, because it was a bit long event, but I hope you enjoyed. Again, let's meet again on the 29th of June. And thanks again for your attention. And that is very important in a period like this one, where we are overwhelmed by information. Thanks again to all of you. Very much appreciated your time, and see you soon.